Welcome, guys and ghouls, to episode 184 of Missing Pieces. This is my weekly audio journal where I talk about what I'm up to and what I'm into. And this week was Halloween. This was Halloween. It was an awesome week that I'm very excited to talk about and share with you. In fact, we're going to go all the way back to last weekend, probably about the time you were listening to last week's episode. Clark and I, and Mrs. Brickitect, or Cody as she's known in some circles, we were finally carving our pumpkins. To give you the backstory, or jack-o'-lanterns, I guess, is what they become once they're carved or during the carving process. Although I'm not really sure when a pumpkin officially becomes a jack-o'-lantern or if it always is one or the other. You'll have to help me out with that. But the backstory on our pumpkins, I didn't know we were getting this deep into it. As you can tell, I've got a lot of podcasting juice this week. If you listened to last week's episode, you know what I'm talking about. But the pumpkin thing, I almost dropped the ball on it. I don't know what happened in October, but the month completely escaped me. And I realized with like a week left that we didn't have any pumpkins and we needed to get them carved. So I went over to the pumpkin guy, as I call him, the pumpkin king, and he had one pumpkin basically. So I was like, okay, I'll take it, but are you getting any more? And he said, come back on Tuesday. I'll have some more pumpkins for you. And I was like, okay. So I went back. I got the two best pumpkins they had, which gave us a total of 3. And this past weekend, we carved 2 out of 3 of those pumpkins. I'll let Clarkman pick his favorites. So Clark and I did one, and Mrs. Brickitect, Cody, as she's known in some circles again, did one. And they turned out pretty cool. Cody's, I don't know, hers was a little weird, but Clark and I's, I thought, turned out pretty darn neat. And I actually just edited the video up on that. So you'll see that. You may actually see it the day that this comes out, depending on how time travel works. I still have to get my DeLorean and go to the future to figure out what day we're on. I'm trying to get caught up on things, and I think we're going to make that happen. Although, as you can tell with time in general, I have no concept of what's going on, where I'm at, where time has gone, and what's happening in the future. It's just completely crazy. So we got that done just in the nick of time. I think it was October 29th we did that. So we got to enjoy 2 days of our pumpkins before Halloween hit. But before we get into the Halloween discussion and such, I got to tell you about a hobby that we unlocked that very afternoon. Something that is inspired by Pap. He ended up giving us, or Clark, I should say. I say this because I like it just as much as he does. He gave us this BB gun that he got, and he wanted Clarkman to have it. And Clark, we shot around a little bit. You may have seen the video on it. We shot it over at Pap's house, but he gave it to us to take home. And Clarkman wanted to go out shooting things. So at first we went out and we shot a couple cans and some bottles. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But then I was like, hey, I've got all that boot Lego in a storage container inside the studio. Why don't we go through that and see if there's anything like fun we can shoot in there? Because there was non-Lego, like boot Lego, if you will. And then there was other figures and things. So we went through there and got a whole bunch of stuff. We got this boot Lego base plate. We set all the figures up on it. Ones that weren't Lego, we set up with like a barrier behind them, built out of boot Lego as well. And we started shooting at these things, and I had no idea just how much fun it would be, and also that it would become Clark's new favorite hobby. It's like all he wants to do is go out and shoot the BB gun at miscellaneous non-Lego items. And I think what he loves the most is when we shoot it and hit, it goes flying. And then he likes to go run out and see if there was any damage to it. And he analyzes the pieces and sees if there's like a BB spot on it or if it breaks apart. And it actually is a lot of fun. Like, I'm a kid at heart. And in fact, I remember all the way back to my childhood, I had a BB gun that was very similar to that. And I remember I could only go out with it under adult supervision. And I would like beg my mom and or dad to go out and like, so I could shoot this thing. And I remember them like not wanting to do it. And I'm just like, now as an adult, I'm just like, why would you not? You know, like if Clarkman wants to go do that, not only am I out there, I am just as active in it as he is. And that's like the history of me as a parent. And maybe it's because I'm a kid at heart, I suppose. But I don't know. I love all the things he gets into, and it just gives me an excuse to do it as well. You know what I mean? Like I could be out there shooting my BB gun, but to have a kid that's doing that, and I guess I bring that over into the world of action figures. Like we talked about my collection of Black Series. It's just so much easier to find excuses to get into stuff like that when you have a kid with you and you're like, yeah, it's for the kids, you know? But yeah, it's for both of us. And we had so much fun doing that. We did that a couple times this week. I got a little bit of video of it. I think for one of the No Zero Days vlogs. That day we were just kind of out shooting and stuff. I do think it might be interesting content. I don't know how YouTube would appreciate that though, with guns and stuff and kids. And I don't really want to necessarily encourage kids to go get guns maybe like their parents have one in the house somewhere that they know about and go get it. It's a slippery slope there. So we'll just enjoy it on our own time. And I'll tell you all about how much fun we have. It's as close to being there as you can get here in the podcast. But anyways, that was a new hobby unlocked. And that was pretty much the highlights of my weekend last week. It was a lot of pumpkining and BB gun shooting. I told Clark we should shoot the pumpkins too, but he didn't really want to do that. He had like this little one that he drew on at school. And I was like, hey, you should go get that and we'll shoot at it. And he was like, no. So he was okay shooting only the things that he didn't like. There was a few things in the boot Lego thing that he picked out that he wanted to keep. And I was like, okay, cool. Like if we're getting some use out of it, basically when I'm doing anything that's non-Lego or dirty or like beyond repair, I'm putting into a tote essentially. And then I'm just going to donate it. And some kid out there will be thrilled with it that doesn't have Lego or isn't an elitist like us where we're like, oh, it must be official Lego products only. Somebody will enjoy it. Now, maybe not so much now that all the figures have been blasted apart and stuff. But it was a good time. Also a good time, last weekend, man, eBay was popping off for me. I know I talk about all my eBay antics and adventures. And the last weekend happened to be my best weekend I ever had. On Monday, I ended up taking 10 items to the post office that I sold. And it was just great. I've been doing really well with my camera sales. In fact, today I had one sitting on there that I had raised the price on, like right after one of my first cameras sold. I'm like, oh, maybe I had the price too low. So I raised it and then I wasn't really getting any bites on it. So today I put the price back down and literally within minutes someone bought it. So that was really cool. And I'm kind of clearing that stuff out a little bit and making way for new stuff, including new cameras. This week, a camera came out that I was excited about, but I was hopeful and scared at the same time because I've been like really looking forward to various camera releases throughout this fall. The iPhone 15 I was hoping would be incredible and a huge upgrade over the 14 Pro that I have. Didn't turn out to be the case. The GoPro Hero 12 I was hoping would be like the next level of camera equipment, 1-inch sensor, all of these things that was going to make it amazing. It turned out that GoPro just took the Hero 11 and put a 12 on the side of it essentially, which was really disappointing. Then I was like, okay, let's see what's happening in the world of Android. Maybe I can switch over to Google Pixel. If the Pixel comes out with like this really great camera system, I'd switch from iPhone to Pixel. I'm not brand loyal. I'm just all about getting the best quality camera that I can in the smallest compact package that I can take with me when I go out and vlog and film in various locations. That was a disappointment as well. Not enough of an upgrade to over anything, really. It definitely doesn't beat my old iPhone. So I was sorry, Pixel peeps. I know some of you guys are triggered right now. If you want to trigger people, talk smack about Android or talk good about Apple products, talk about Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo. You say anything bad about any of these companies, people will come out of the woodwork and attack you. I'm just giving my opinion. Just my opinion. Anyways, DJI was up next, and they were coming out with this much anticipated Osmo the Osmo Pocket 3. They make an action camera too, which I actually own and is currently for sale on eBay. Hopefully selling this weekend because I no longer need it. Is the action, or quit calling it the action, Greg. The Pocket 3. I saw it. People were saying it was amazing. I started watching all the reviews. It looked incredible. And then I ended up pulling the trigger on it. It hurt my wallet a lot. It's still crying a little bit, but I got it and I'm blown away by it. If you don't know what the Pocket 3 is, essentially it's like this little stick. I should have had it down here so the people that actually watch this could see it. But it's like this little stick that has a gimbal on the top with a little tiny camera that moves around. It's like if you ever seen a drone, like a DJI Mavic or Spark or whatever, it's like the camera that's on that. But there's this little screen on the front so you can see yourself, and you hold this stick and you can vlog yourself doing whatever it is that you do in the same way that I would use a cell phone or a GoPro or whatever. Only this thing is not necessarily as durable because it does have moving parts on it and that gimbal moves around. But what that gives you is some very stabilized footage that's absolutely incredible. And then the image quality is out of this world. Like it beats the iPhone by a lot. It beats the GoPro and the Osmo Action, the one that I keep referring to. It just destroys all those. In fact, it even does really well in low light, which is really important to me because I'm oftentimes filming indoors or in less than ideal lighting situations. So that was something that really got my interest. So I ended up getting it. And then in one of my No Zero Days vlogs this week, maybe Wednesday, I was like, oh, let me just do a little clip here of me opening it up and trying it out for the first time. And that ended up being like 10 minutes of me just playing with the camera in general after I edited the footage down. And then I have all this setup of the unboxing and talking about my thoughts on it. So it's just going to be its own video. I'm really excited about this camera, and it's just so cool. I got the Creator Combo, which has this extra battery pack that clips into the bottom that gives you 60% more battery, has a wide angle lens adapter that goes on the front of the little camera that moves around. It's got a wireless mic that's a upgraded version of the DJI wireless mics that I use currently. And it's just really cool. It's honestly the most excited that I've been for a camera in forever because it's something new and different. In fact, it has this thing where on the little screen, you can like click on your face on it essentially. And then it goes into tracking mode. So you can set this camera down because it has like these little tripod legs that come with the Creator Combo. And you could walk around your living room, for example, talking to it, and it will follow you around. The camera like turns to follow you up, down, left, right, wherever you go, it follows you, which sounds scary, but it's very awesome because all of a sudden you now have a cameraman, something that I've always dreamed of having, being the cameraman and well, sometimes the on-air talent, mostly Clark Man, but it's a lot to take on when you're doing all that. But if you can just set your camera down and do your thing, it's pretty wild. In fact, I actually took that camera out that night. It was Tuesday. I remember now because I ordered it from Best Buy Sunday afternoon. I had spent all weekend researching and watching every video I could possibly find on this thing, trying to decide if it was the camera for me. Because I am a camera nerd. I research everything, audio, all of that stuff is just super important. In fact, I was playing around with some camera stuff before this. For you people that are watching right now, you're going to be in for a treat because I was like, this camera, since I've been selling all this camera equipment on eBay, I'm like, do I really need this expensive camera that I'm using right now? I'm using a Sony a6400, which on eBay is like a $600 camera right now. I think I paid $1,000 for it. And the lens was $400, I think. So it's like a $1,400 setup. I was like, let me compare this to my Logitech C920, which I have a couple of these. It's just a standard issue webcam. I'm like, could I get away with just using the Logitech and then like make $1,000 selling this camera equipment? Because all I really use this for is this podcast, which about 30% of the audience, if not more, are just listening anyway. So the video doesn't mean anything. But watch this. This is what the Logitech looks like straight out of the box. And it's instant regret and makes me realize just how important having a decent camera is. If you're listening, what you're looking at here is a very blue-tinged, washed-out version of me with so much grain, it looks like you're watching like a static TV. And my shirt actually looks blue. I'm wearing a black shirt. Everything just looks awful. I know you can kind of adjust this and stuff, but I don't adjust the other camera. The other camera that I'm using, which we'll go back to, this is just an automatic settings. This is the difference between $1,400 and about $70. Now, some could say, hey, it does the job. I can see you. I can hear you, obviously. Audio to me is the most important thing. Like that time that I used the wrong microphone, which I should check. Yeah, we're good. That was a catastrophe. Using this would not be a catastrophe, but boy, doesn't that look good. And you have a new appreciation now. If you're one of the viewers on this, you now have an appreciation for the video quality. I love it. This is what a lot of streamers use. Oh, the lens I'm using, if you're curious, Sigma 16mm 1.4. That's how you get that nice blurry background, and the white balance. Everything it's just on point. I have no lights on in here. Like it's just window light basically. So yeah, I'm not going to be getting rid of this camera. I'm going to be holding on to it. Oh, and I'm also using a Camlink, which is I think another like $150, something like that. This is an expensive setup. I was going to use this for gaming and stuff. I haven't had the time to live stream games, but we have been playing them. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We need to go back to the camera stuff. Again, an obsession of mine, I would say. I would say hobby, borderline obsession. Probably obsession. I decided that night. The reason I was trying to get it so quickly from Best Buy, they had Sunday night I ordered it, and they said it would be here on Tuesday. And I was like, trick or treat, mother trucker. So that morning, on Tuesday morning, when I was out walking Roxy Bear, I got a alert that there was motion on our front door, and lo and behold, there is the box sitting there. So when I got home, I obviously geeked out, and I made that whole long video of me, getting into this thing, and I was like, we're going to use this on Halloween night when we go out trick-or-treating. And I did. I haven't edited the footage yet, so I don't know if it's going to look good or bad or what. I had it in low light mode. It looked good to me. I was using the gimbal. Everything's like nice and smooth. Like there's no issues with it at all. Like it really, I've seen videos where people are saying like, this is going to do to the camera industry what cell phones did to the camera industry. Or it's going to do, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's going to do to cell phones what cell phones did to cameras. Like we've come full circle. So like back in the day before everyone had an iPhone or Android guys, everyone had like a little point and shoot. You know, you had a little point and shoot camera. You take pictures of things. You wouldn't always have it with you, but on special occasions, you get your little camera out, little digital camera that was like 2 megapixels, and you took your pictures. And then everybody started getting cameras, or everyone started getting phones that had cameras on them. So now everyone had a camera on them at all times. So you didn't bother with your little point and shoot camera anymore. Well, now we're kind of cycling back around where DJI has made a camera that is so good that it's like your iPhone can't compete. In fact, I should do a side-by-side. That'd be fun. I'm sure people have done it, but just for my own records, my own purposes. Gosh, if you saw all the times that I've done comparison footage between this camera and that, this audio and that, this and this, I should have uploaded all of them. I should have did like Greg's camera tests. Could have been a whole channel of me just playing around with stuff. It'd be cool. Somebody would probably really get a kick out of that. Maybe some value out of it too, honestly. Because I've compared like everything that I own. And now some of them no longer own now that I'm selling them all off. But I got that camera. I've been enjoying it. It's still like I think it would work really well for podcasting, for example. If I wanted to just go for a walk podcasting, I could hold this out in front of me. Like, again, it's just like this little stick with a screen on it, have the microphone on, and I could go for this walk and it would look like I'm like floating on a cloud because it would be so smooth and you'd be able to hear me perfectly. It would be great. But for my usual vlogging like that I do, where I'm holding a camera and swinging around and having it on me and then showing other stuff, I kind of feel like it's that the traditional camera kind of works better for that. This is more of like, I don't want to use my cell phone, so I'm going to use this instead. It's simple. It's easy. It comes with a carrying case. It has like all of the accessories and equipment you need all in one container, essentially, to become a YouTuber or whatever. Film your kids. A lot of people I noticed in the comments of these videos were talking about like shooting videos of their families and kids, because kids are running all over and it's just simple. And it turns on and it works. So you don't have to get lenses. You don't have to figure all that stuff out. Anyways, that was very exciting, and it hopefully turned out well for Halloween trick-or-treating. I know, even video aside, Halloween was wonderful for Clark, man. He dressed up this year. You'll be the first to know about this unless you're in my Brickatech members Discord. He dressed up as Tails this year, of Sonic and Tails fame. And I kind of had a feeling this would happen. Like, he loved his costume. I thought he looked really cool. But I don't think many people knew who he was, especially like older folks. And some people thought he was a girl. Because I even heard like someone say, "Oh, let her through," or something like that. Because if you don't know what Tails looks like, he's like a yellow. What is he anyway? A squirrel? He's some type of like little yellow animal that has multiple tails, and he flies beside Sonic and sometimes runs in the games, at least. And for some reason, Clark, I was like, "You should be Sonic. Everyone's gonna know what Sonic is," but Clark wanted to be Tails, so he was, and he had a blast. We trick-or-treated for probably just over an hour, and you could not fit another candy into his pumpkin bucket. The thing was stacked. And that's even with a lot of the town seemingly not participating. It really felt like a lot of people just weren't into it this year, but the people that were like giving away as much as they can. In fact, there was this guy at the end of the night. He was just trying to unload his candy. So he was like, Clark, he like came to us. He didn't say Clark. I'd be like, how do you know us? People do know us out there though. Erica, who always gives Clark Man a hug every single year that they meet out on the streets of town trick-or-treating. Erica found him again. He got a hug from her. But this guy came over and delivered Clark Man a whole bunch of candy at last minute as we were wrapping up, just because he was trying to get rid of it. But there was like a block that we went to turn down. And the way you know if people are participating in trick-or-treat or to give away candy is if they have a porch light on. If you have a porch light on, it means that you're participating and you're doing it. Turn this corner, the whole block is dark, not a single soul participating. And that was kind of disheartening. But it's interesting because I'm hearing from other people are saying like there weren't as many kids trick-or-treating. Like, kids just aren't into it. Now I'm thinking like the adults aren't into it. Maybe no one's into it. But apparently trunk-or-treating is becoming a popular thing now too. And it's a thing where everyone parks their car or whatever, and then you just walk down a line and get candy from everybody, which I feel like is kind of like cheating a little bit. But I mean, I guess it's efficient, right? And you're not like going up people's steps and going to their house and egging them. Not that happened, but it was a fun time. Clark had a blast. Yami and Pap came out for it. Cody, Mrs. Brickdetector, she's known in some circles, she was there, and it was fun. I'm really excited to look back in the footage too to see how the low light of that camera was. So it was like I was having fun too. You know, I was having fun just filming it all and just being there too. So I'm like soaking it in. You don't know how many years you got of trick or treating until your kid's too old. Although I did see some kids. There was this 2 kids we were behind. I hesitate to even call them kids. Dude was not even dressed up. Probably as tall as I was. Not even dressed up. He just had like this Knoebels like blanket on his back that was red. So he kind of looked like he was dressed like a superhero, I guess. But he was just collecting candy out there. He didn't have a mask on. He had nothing. It was just like, hey, let me grab this blanket off the couch and then I'm going to walk out the door and go grab a bunch of candy from everybody. But again, the people I think that were participating in it were just happy to do so. In fact, there was this old lady that was so sweet. She was sitting out like in her front yard and she must have had 7 different areas of various candies and things. And she demanded that kids take one of everything. So it's like one house. It was like going to 7 places. It was really wild. So it's really good to see that kind of stuff. I gave her like a backstory. I'm thinking like she has kids and grandkids, but maybe they moved away. She doesn't really get an opportunity to spoil them or treat them at all. And this is her chance through Halloween and trick or treat. This is her chance to really just enjoy the act of giving to people. And she loved it. Like, she was into it. And it makes you happy to see, you know, there are still good people out there. Contrary to what you may see or hear, I know you see like the viral videos of like these kids coming up and stealing all the candy out of a take one only type thing, sometimes with their parents in tow. Like, I saw that video. I'm sure some of you probably have seen that one where it's like one family comes in and they all just actively steal all the candy out of this bowl. And it sucks. There's people out there like that. But then I see another video where there's an empty bowl and these 2 little kids come up and they put candy in there. So there's candy for kids that come in the future. And I'm just like, you know, I guess you have that. You have all kinds of variety of people in life. You have the people that take, and you have the people that give. And I guess you just hope that there's more of the givers than takers in the world of trick-or-treating and also in real life. But that was our night trick-or-treating, and that was a solid end to October. We had so much fun doing the haul video, and I always look forward to it, and I'm just thankful to be able to have that with Clark, man. So next up on the list, I covered most of the Halloween stuff, and I guess that's kind of over now because we're now in November. We're kind of getting into the holiday season. At least that's what the stores want you to think. And I made a little bit of a purchase this week to get ready for that. Lego, of course, was doing some gift with purchases that I had to partake in. It was another one of those Disney ones. I ended up getting the advent calendar for Star Wars. I think that happened this week. I don't even know. It's on my table here. But I ended up getting also, you don't know about this because I haven't shared it yet. I ended up getting the Lego City Advent Calendar, something that I've collected every single year since I got back into Lego as an adult, except for last year. Last year's I just thought was disappointing, and I was like, I just skipped it. But this year I like it. And the coolest thing is like there's this gamer who has like a gamer chair and a computer setup and stuff, and I just think that's really cool. It's probably a couple different days, but I got a great deal on it. We had $15 of Target gift cards, and they had it for 20% off. So I ended up getting the Advent Calendar for $13. So now we've got Star Wars, which I'm assuming Clarkman is going to claim every day, which makes me sad. But, you know, again, this is supposed to be for him. Why can't I be an adult and enjoy these things, though? He's going to give me the city one, I'm sure. Maybe we could rotate. I might be able to convince him that we'll rotate back and forth each day. But what we're going to do leading up to that, in fact, I need to get this ordered because we're going to do it throughout November. We did this once before. I'm going to get another Advent Calendar. I think the Harry Potter one is the one I'll probably do, even though we're not huge Harry Potter detectors, but the Marvel Advent Calendar this year it's whack, in my opinion. Again, if you want to trigger people insult Marvel. That will get them coming out of the woodwork just as much as if I insulted Android. Anyways, the Harry Potter one's looking pretty good. And I thought what we could do, I timed it out, whereas if we start the Harry Potter Advent Calendar on November 7th, I believe, we would have an Advent Calendar build in Harry Potter every day leading up till November 30th. And that would be the final day. But then on December 1st, we get into the cream of the crop Advent Calendars, if you will. If you don't know what an Advent Calendar is, picture this Lego box with all these little doors on it, labeled 1 through 24. And each day leading up to Christmas, you're supposed to open one of those doors, and inside of it is a little bag of Legos with a picture of what you can build. It's very simple, small builds, but it's like getting a little gift each day. And it's something that I love to do with Clark, man. Like every day, first thing in the morning, we come down to the studio here. I usually have it on Baratect, which is still very clean, looking good. Perfect timing, by the way. And then you get to open those things up and enjoy it, and we do that together, and I love it. So that's kind of what I was thinking. So instead of having like 3 going at a time, maybe we'll do 1 now and then 1 or 2 in December. So, we'll see. If I'm going to do it, I got to get it ordered, because today is, if you're wondering when I'm recording this, Friday, November 3rd at 12:22 p.m. I thought it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. Again, like, maybe I'm just terrible at time management. I don't know. The days go so quickly. Last but not least on the menu today, the dessert, if you will. You guys have had the, I don't know what you've had so far. This is ordering from the value menu. I was thinking we'd be having some fine dining here. You're coming in, I'm giving you a little appetizer talking about Halloween. Then we get into the main course talking about cameras and trick-or-treating, and now the dessert. But it really is just like you had your McDouble, and now you got a small fry, and you couldn't afford a soda. So you're like, this is the water. You're just drinking your water now. No, I like to think that I shouldn't trash myself so much. I think these podcasts are pretty fun, at least to make. And I think if I was a person out there in the world that enjoyed our content, I think this would be an awesome little extra to have, honestly. Like, it's like sitting down with a friend and having like a little chit chat. I love podcasts like this. They're my favorite. It's all I listen to. Anyways, got into a little bit of gaming this week. I guess I'll tell you about the new game we played first. It's called Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and it's good? ? I've heard so many good things about this. Fallen Order, and then wait, what's the other one called? This one's called Fallen Order, and then there's another one that came out after this, I think. Shoot, what's the new one called? I can't look it up. Okay, I'll look it up. I'll tell you about it while I'm looking it up. So this game makes you feel very much in the Star Wars universe. You feel like you are living in Star Wars, which is really cool. Let me look up Star Wars Jedi Survivor. That's what it is. I'm playing Fallen Order, which is the old one. Jedi Survivor, which is currently on sale at Target for $34.99, is the new one. I better put my phone back on airplane mode because somebody will call me or text me and then ruin everything. Anyways, this was a freebie on PlayStation Plus at one point. That's how I acquired it. I think it might also be on Game Pass right now. But I heard good things about it, and the story is incredible. Basically, you play as Cal, and this is set, I think, after maybe episode 3-ish. It's like after the Republic has fallen, and you're playing as Cal, a scrapper who's destroying or taking apart old Republic ships. And one day your buddy and you are like on a quest to go do something, or like you're given a job to do, and your buddy falls and almost dies, but you use the Force to stop him from dying, which is a no-no because all of the Jedi have been destroyed or eliminated, which brings in the authorities on such matters. The second sister, I think, is what she is, and she is like gonna kill whoever it is that is the Jedi. But you end up escaping and with some 2 other like people that are trying to recover Jedis, and then you go on this mission or like this quest, I guess, to find. To find other Jedis. Like that, we in the story that I'm in, I've only played a few hours. We just went to like this Jedi temple place and ended up finding this list of Jedi children that are like that can use the Force. So we're trying to get like the Jedi back together, and that's I know it's a terrible description of the game, and I can't do it justice. You got to watch a review if you really want to know about it. But I enjoy some aspects of the game, and there's some aspects of it that I'm not a huge fan of, and it looks like this is what it's going to be from here on probably. So I'll tell you what I like, and that is the combat. I love using the lightsaber. There's various moves where you can learn how to swing your lightsaber, like overhead swing and kill somebody. And you can also use the lightsaber to reflect or deflect blaster shots that come at you. And if you hit it the right time, you can send it right back at whoever shot at you, like a stormtrooper, for example, which is really cool. It's very much like Elden Ring, and another part of it that I like, where you might have one of these big boss battle type things where you're fighting like a big monster and you lock onto it, and then you have to kind of like figure out your attack. Like it has like these tells where it's about ready to do something, and then you can like dodge it, but then you can also use the force to slow time down, then hit him with your lightsaber. And it's really cool in that regard. And what's really awesome is, maybe not awesome, is that if you die to that monster and then you respawn, you lose like all of your stuff, all of your points that you've been building up, or like your mojo, if you will, your podcasting juice. And to get that back, you have to go do damage to that creature or whatever it was, and then you replenish it. So it's very much like Elden Ring, where if you die, all of your whatever they call those, I need to play that again. Your what is it? Your souls, your whatever, your oh gosh, whatever it is, you have to go back and get them. And if you don't get them on like the time back, you die basically, or like you don't get it back. I guess if you die a second time before you get your stuff back, you then die without it, or you don't have it. So I'm still trying to remember what those things are called. Somebody's played Elden Ring, they know. Don't make that your comment of the week. Save it for something good, or you can help me out. Runes, there, you don't have to. It's your runes. So what happens is, if you're fighting a monster, the monster kills you, your runes are dropped there. You reboot, and you have to go back and get your runes before you get killed again. If you get killed again before touching or getting your runes, the runes are gone permanently, and that's kind of how this game is. So I like that aspect of it. That was rough. That was brutal. You survivors, what you got. You guys are Jedi survivors. What I don't like about it, there's kind of like a platforming element of it. It's almost like Assassin's Creed, where you're constantly like jumping over things and climbing up vines or metal gratings. And so far, Bogano was the level that I was on. It's very disjointed, and you're without really much direction where to go at all. And you're like going down a path and that's blocked, and you have to go back and you have to find an alternate way. And it's just like, I just want to go to the Jedi Temple. Like, what I'd rather have, rather than all this platforming and jumping across things and having to go down and ziplining across and then using an elevator that doesn't work and then making it work and then doing a wall run that you just learned. What I want to do, and this is probably why Elden Ring is probably a better game for me than this is, I want to see the Jedi Temple in the background, and I want to start making my way there, slicing and dicing everybody in my path to get there. I don't care about the platforming and that element of it. I just want to like slice people. I want to get into battles, and I want to progress the story, which again, the story is really cool. The atmosphere is amazing. The graphics are incredible. I'm playing this on PlayStation 5, but it's like, I could do without all that other stuff. To me, that's like filler. It feels like they're just trying to, they made a short game and they're trying to make it way longer by just giving you like all these different areas you have to traverse. And it's like the same thing over and over again. Cause I watched the next level, which Clark and I are about to do. And I'm like, it's literally the same thing on a different planet. And this game was critically acclaimed. So, I mean, I guess that's what people want, but I just want to fight people. I just want to fight. So again, maybe Elden Ring is more up my alley, because that game, there's like no story. It's just like, you're the Tarnished. You go out there and start killing people and leveling up and stuff. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. That's probably a disservice to that game, though. There's more to it than that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to give it like another hour or so. I don't know if I'm going to play through the whole thing. And I don't know if I'll play through Jedi Survivor. It really just depends on how I'm feeling after this next level, which I've been warned about. So we shall see. That wasn't the only game that I played. I saw that Gran Turismo 7 got this update where they put a snow level in it, and I was like, ooh, racing on the snow. So I got on to play it, and I found out that I don't have it unlocked. Like, apparently you have to unlock all of the various world circuits in the game, and I was like, well, where was I in this game? And when you know it, I was doing like this challenge where I was unlocking those Toyota Supras, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I got my wheel all set up, and I started playing it one morning before Clarkman went to school. And then I sent him off to school, and I kept playing it for like an hour afterwards, and I was just having so much fun. I have more fun in Gran Turismo than I did in Jedi Fallen Order, which, you know, to each his own. But I just love racing. In fact, I would love to get, and this is like, if I just had a little more space, you know, the enemy of every video game player. If I just had a little more space, I would love to make like a racing cockpit where you have like the chair, like a racing seat, and then you got the steering wheel all set up with your shifter, and then you've got the monitor in front of you all running just the way it should be. It's like right now, I just put this on my desk, and then I'm sitting in a regular chair with pedals, and it works. I would never want to play a racing game again without a steering wheel because it just adds so much immersion and makes it so cool. But I want it to be like legit feel like I'm sitting in a car. But to build something like that would take up a good amount of space that I could use for shelving Lego sets. But then I go back and I'm thinking like, what would I enjoy more? Looking at Lego sets or actually enjoying a product? That's where the movie theater screen projector system came from. This whole wall that you see beside me here. This is all those black shelves that I had like various sets sitting on in boxes and things. And I was like, okay, I could sit here and stare at those Lego sets or have them in the background of my video, or I could turn this into a movie theater that we could enjoy and like actually experience. And I 100% made the right decision there. And maybe me building a racing simulator cockpit type thing is probably the move that I should make, honestly. I just got to figure out parts and components and all that fun stuff, because all my stuff's very beginner and very, noob-ish. But maybe I could start with that and then work my way up to some really decent stuff. I saved all the boxes and everything, so if I ever want to sell it, I could sell it and get some of my money back. It could be a slippery slope, a sticky slope. But again, it's like, you know, if you want to race, you want to have like these racing experiences. Doing something like that's way cheaper, easier, and takes up less space than going out and buying an actual car. Plus, you're not, paying insurance and for parts and stuff. It's all simulated. Plus, you can play the Gran Turismo 7 with PlayStation VR, which would be even cooler. You put the VR headset on and you're actually inside. You're sitting in your racing cockpit, but you're inside the game. An expensive operation, but does it get much better? In fact, I've even seen ones that move around, like they jostle you and stuff. I think they're incredibly expensive. So what I need to do is become like a big time YouTuber in the world of sim racing, and then find a company that'll send me one. That's the move. So if you have any friends that like racing games, send them over to Greg's Arcade. I didn't stream any of that, by the way. I was just playing for fun. I find it's like Lego streaming is one thing because there is a substantial audience there, at least in my heart. And the interaction's fun, but I found like in the gaming streams, like there's maybe like 14 people that tuned in, and it's like, I'm playing the game. I can't really engage with you too much. I'm terrible at multitasking, as I mentioned before, and it's like, why not just sit here and have fun and enjoy it myself? But I should probably, because maybe somebody would get value out of that. But that's what I got up to. The only other thing that I have to report, speaking of the movie theater setup here, we watched Rogue One this week. Enjoyed it. I finally like Andor. We watched the show Andor. He's in the movie. I had no idea who he was at the time, and like that was a cool tie-in. But it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Episode 3 though, of all the Star Wars I've seen so far, I keep thinking about Episode 3. Episode 3 is my favorite. I just love it. But we're gonna continue on. As I said before, we're skipping Solo. I haven't any interest to go back to that. We're going to watch 4, 5, 6, the OGs, the classics. Those people, they're going to get triggered too. Like if I'm talking about Episode 3, loving it. Hate if you like the prequels. And then I think we are going to watch 7, 8, and 9 again. The Rey trilogy or whatever you want to call it. The one where, I'm not going to spoil anything. Maybe you have somebody in your family that's listening. They haven't watched it yet. Cody gets mad when I spoil episodes for Clarkman. I'm like, dude, it's like, it's known, Because I'm like, I think I told him that Darth Vader, never mind. Maybe somebody hasn't seen Star Wars yet. Anyways, that was my week, the things I was into and up to on Halloween week, all the stuff that was spooky and goes bump in the night, and some of the stuff that wasn't. Let's get into the best part of the episode, the part where I stop talking about myself and I talk to you guys about the things that you want to talk about, starting with Mediocrist, who is the greatest disc golf player in the world. He says, "Thanks a lot, Greg. I've now got podcasting juice all over the place. Glad to help. Glad to help." Next one comes from Janelle. She says, "I enjoyed the live streams. I enjoy this podcast as well. It's only natural that when one channel takes the forefront, the other channels are a little less prominent. It's important not to burn out." Yeah, like I can never seem to juggle everything that I want to do at once. If I feel like if I really just focused on one thing, if my brain would let me do that, I could be so good at it. I'd be so good. But instead I'm like, oh, I want to do a vlog. I want to have a Lego channel. I like to do gaming. I like live streaming. I'm just like stretching so thin, right? But I feel like maybe this will be the future. Like looking long term. I don't know what the audience mix is here. You guys are mostly probably from Greg's world. Some of you are from Brickitect. I feel like Brickitect probably is going to be the more long-term channel, if that makes sense. Like I don't see myself stopping doing vlogs and whatnot, but I do wonder, like say after Clarkman grows up and it's just me and Mrs. Brickitect, Cody as she's known in some circles. Are people still going to want to watch that? I mean, I guess there's lots of older people on YouTube that I enjoy watching, and lots of other people do too. But this chapter is eventually going to come to an end. And I feel like with Lego in particular, I feel like it's something that if I wanted to make daily videos, which I do, I just need to find the time. It's so easy to do that in Lego. Like there's always a Lego set to build. There's always some things to sort. There's always some things to talk about. It's endless. There's so much history there. There's so much that I own, so much to get that I could literally make content nonstop, time permitting. And I feel like that is so much easier to do than to make a vlog of your day, for example. Like to put in perspective, if I make a Lego video, it really is just like shooting, talking, opening, building, whatever. And then that's the end of it. You end the video and then I edit those clips down just a little bit and it becomes a video. Whereas like making a vlog about your day, I'm like trying to think of like, okay, what have I recorded so far? What's the thing that makes today unique? What am I going to do today? What am I sharing of that? Did I get this shot? And then at the end of the day, I have like an hour of footage that I somehow whittle down into like 15 minutes, right? And that takes a lot of time. The Lego thing, it's like, I've got 15 minutes of footage. I just made an 11-minute video. So much easier and like more relevant too, because who really gives a crap about my life or Clark or whoever? Like, why would you care? Versus a Lego thing, it's like, okay, I got the new advent calendars. That's instantly like a topic that maybe somebody's interested in, right? What I hope to find through that though is like, okay, you clicked on a video about advent calendars, but when you watched it, you're like, oh, I kind of like the vibe. I like the personality behind this. And like that draws you in. And I guess I go back to saying this, Lego is the vehicle, not the destination, right? So I do think that that's probably my future. And obviously I'm a little interested in the topic. It's probably, outside of video games, like video games is such a huge part of my adolescence. But as a kid, Lego was always that. And then as an adult here, Lego has dominated the video game side of things. Like I was just looking at my PlayStation 4 collection of games today, and most of them, like I didn't even open or play. Like I just got them on deals and stacked them up. And like Lego has just been that thing for me that takes me back to my childhood and reminds me of simpler times. And it's just so much fun to enjoy. It tickles all those parts of my brain that I love, like the idea of finding deals and hunting oftentimes, building something. I love doing that. I like making creative things. I love to see Clark making creative things more than anything. And then I also like sorting, believe it or not. And I like the inventorying, the categorization of things. Like all of it is just, it's so good. I don't think I need to sell any of you on Lego. And I imagine if any of you were thinking about getting into the hobby, you would have done it by now through all of my rants and things in the past. But yeah, it's just so much fun. And I definitely see that becoming more prominent, as Janelle mentioned. I see that becoming like my future. I picture like a 65-year-old Brickitect being like, oh, I just got the 20, how old would I be when I'm 65? How old would I be? I'd be 65 when I'm 65. I guess that would be what, like 26 years from now. So it'd be like 2049. 2049. I'm like, I just got the 2049 CMFs. Let's open them all up and see who we got. I could make it happen, you know. I could do it. I'm just nothing but excited about it. Every day I get up, I'm just like pumped for whatever is to come. I just wish I had more time to do it all. But thank you for the comments, guys, and thank you for watching. Ashley comments in. She says, we call them hoagies. This has been an ongoing discussion. What do we call subs in various parts of the country? Hoagies, also from Central PA. We got a Central PA detector here. It says, you're right about dialect. For instance, we say sneakers, gobs, soda, etc. Gobs? Are you talking about like gobs of, like I'd say a gob of peanut butter? Is that what we're talking about? Like a gob of peanut butter? Like a scoop? Is a scoop is like a gob? I don't know. A lot of my coworkers in Pittsburgh say tennis shoes and pop. No, we don't say that. We say sneakers. I enjoy all your content. Also, I really like the beard. I'm growing it out a little bit. Mrs. Brickatect is totally on board. Cody is. She's known in some circles. She has not complained yet. So we'll just let it go and see what happens. I should do another head shave with the big beard. Dude, I'll look menacing. I'll be the Phantom Menace. Says one more random thing. Cody mentioned in the comments about her workout videos she did after she had Clark, but I can't find it anywhere. I think she took her videos down. It wasn't I don't think she's cut out to be a YouTuber. It's something that I kind of encouraged her to do because she wanted to like make an impact and connect with people. But she, like, her students bring the videos up in class and stuff, and she doesn't want that. So she endures what I do. But yeah, it's actually kind of funny speaking of that, because Clark Ma'am, some kids were asking if he makes YouTube videos and if I do, and he said yeah. I told him about the channel, and they said they're all subbing. So Clark Man's out there doing the legwork, marketing for Greg's World and adding people on. He should tell them about Clark Man, the Clark Man channel. They'd probably like more. She said, I'd love to know what these are. Thanks and have a great week. I don't know what exercises it was. She's pretty serious about that kind of stuff, but I could get back to you. I will ask her and I'll report back, even though I can guarantee you a week from now, this will be a distant memory that I'll be already on to the next thing. I'll try though. Next comes from Samuel, who gives us an update on Super Mario Wonder. He said he's still going strong. Didn't play it during the week because of time constraints. Time, the enemy of every gamer. But I ended up defeating Bowser last night. Wow. The game's far from over for me, as I will now set out on a quest to 100% the game, getting his money's worth. It says this means that I have to collect all the Wonder Seeds, find secret exits that lead to undiscovered levels, collect all 10 flower coins in each level, and touch the top of the flagpole in each level. This dude's not playing around. He says, we call this kind of sandwiches subs here in North Dakota. Also, it's okay that you don't have a lot to talk about each week. To me, I just love the personal connection, and I have the privilege of having with you. I love this time we spend together on both the podcast and No Zero Days. You and your family will always be special people to me because of the extra personal meaning you have to me. I don't know if you remember the story as to why that's true, but in short, you guys were what I was into during some extra meaningful personal moments this year. The changes that were made this year have changed my life for the better. Thank you, Greg. You have no idea what you do for me. Very nice. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. I do remember your comment from before, and it's an honor, is all I can say. It's an honor for you to allow me into your life here through my vlogs and these podcasts. Next comment comes from a repeat offender as well, a guy named Brickzar Jabinski, as he's known in some circles. No, actually, I just called him that. Jabinski. He says, thank you, Greg. I listen to your episodes while I'm driving at work, and sometimes I forget to go back and leave a comment. Same thing for me. I listened to Ronnie's podcast, and it's like 30 minutes long, for example, and he's like 6 minutes in, and I'm like, oh, I want to comment on that, but like I can't leave a comment yet. There's still so much left, so I just started commenting multiple times. I'm just like, yeah, that. He says, as far as where everything goes, I mentioned last week that I wanted a detailed inventory and blueprints of Jabo's basement and house to figure out exactly where he's putting all this stuff that he has, because it's remarkable. He says, I got too much stuff now, and it's just boxes of stuff. Like you, I'm working on selling stuff. When my Trains Are Funds channel was going crazy, I'd entertained the idea of renting a building nearby and got displaying things that was accessible to the public. The building was $1,400 a month, but then I realized it was actually less square footage than my basement. Fortunately, I didn't get it as I had a big drop in how YouTube promoted my channel shortly after looking into this option. Maybe I'll get a sponsor one day. That place, that has a place I can set up a museum. I would love that, man. It's still my retirement plan for you to have the museum. But yeah, I relate to that so much because I have this dream too. And again, it would be expensive, but I'd love to lease almost just like a warehouse of sorts and turn it into a fun zone. So I was thinking I'd have like a whole big table full of Lego stuff and like a train layout. And then I would have arcade stuff set up. Obviously, my driving simulator would be in there. I'd have some skeet ball. I'd have some ping pong, like you name it. RC racing area, indoor RC racing. I want a place that's just like big and open, and I could just put all of my stuff in there and whatever came to my mind. Like I want to ride an electric skateboard. I could ride that through there. Just whatever it is, like you name it, I want it to become a thing. And I think it would probably do well, like in terms of like people watching and stuff. But again, it would be pretty expensive, even in our depressed area that we live in. I don't even know where I'd go for something like that, but I imagine I could find a place that hasn't operated in years. And I'm like, hey, I'll use your spot, and then just be like, what do I want to do today? All right, let's make that happen. You know what I mean? It'd be awesome. But $1,400 a month, boy, that's a lot. That's like a whole nother mortgage payment, just to lease a place to store, to like, I guess, display your stuff. Maybe if you had money coming in, like if people came into your museum to show off everything, but that'd be tough. Even if you charge $10 a ticket, you'd have to have 140 people every month come in there. And that's really tough. Then that becomes a job within itself, just showing people around. But yeah, the idea of having like a huge space would be so cool. Like if I could have like, mine wouldn't be open to the public, obviously. It would just be like a place where I make all kinds of like crazy videos. But essentially, I just want a place where anything that I think of, I just start doing it. And I was thinking like it'd even be cool to have like a live stream going where it's just like on the corner of the place showing like whatever's happening at the time. It'd be so freaking sweet. But then again, you go back and forth in these things. There is something really awesome about having all your stuff in your house. You just come down the stairs here and it's like, hey, all my stuff's already here. And I have that, and like, I kind of have like my stuff set up the way that I want it. And all of my hobbies are kind of accounted for here. But like, sometimes you just like start thinking really big and you're like, oh, how cool would it be if I had, this setup? But keep dreaming, it's never too late. If I could really blow up the Lego channel, I don't know what I'd have to do to make that happen. I guess I'd have to make like really hyper edited, like over the top videos with a thumbnail that has a line down the middle and like two different pictures with like an arrow going and like some text on it. If I could do that, maybe I could like financially make that all make sense. But I don't know if it ever would make sense. It's just like it's like a fantasy. Maybe our next house, if it has like a giant barn out back, I turn it into that. That's probably the move. Next one, boy, his ears must have been ringing because this is Jim Rolfe, repeat offender, of course. He says, I'm on that slippery slope. Do you rent storage space, buy a shed, debox, and just sell bags and manuals without boxes? Even if you sell, you buy. So where do you put all the Lego inventory? It's tough, man. I don't know what to do. I know this, though. I've got an entire storage room full of moving boxes that came with me. This is the thing that really got me thinking about how much value are these old Lego sets providing me. I've got moving boxes that came here with all of my old Lego sets that I've built and broken down, put into plastic Ziploc bags, and then put them inside the boxes. 4 years ago almost, they moved here, and they've been sitting in the storage room in those moving boxes for 4 years. So you have to ask yourself, and this is, I guess, maybe what Jabo is realizing too, or thinking about, why do I have these things? If I haven't touched something in 4 years, why do I still own it? I mean, that's what really drew me to selling my camera equipment, even though I love it and like the memories attached to it. It's like, what am I doing? What's the plan for this? What's the end game? Is it to sit on all this stuff and then someday sell it for a fortune? Is it to someday die and then have my family walk in there and be like, all right, it looks like we got a bunch of Lego to get rid of? I don't know. I think that's more of a burden than anything for them. Like this, whatever it is, needs to be resolved while I'm still able-bodied and alive. So I think for me, like, the move is only collecting the things that I really love. But if I want to build stuff and enjoy it and do that on my channel, I think the move is to like buy it, build it, sell it. Take a little loss, but there's enjoyment that's happening there. There's content creation. I've talked about this. I think that's the way to go. You know, I could build 50 sets a year, sell off 45 of them, get almost all my money back, and have a whole channel dedicated to making content on all this stuff. It's like, it's a no-brainer, really. Like, I wish I would have been doing this from the beginning because I have all those sets, but now they're worth something. And they do have boxes, and I have all my flattened boxes. So I really should like start going through. It's just a matter of, I still have some things to break down. I've got some boxes to flatten. It's like getting a little bit of space just so I can navigate the space, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't want to die with thousands of Lego sets. I just don't think that's for me. I just want stuff that when I look at, I can appreciate and enjoy on display. And if it's not going to be on display, on permanent display, it doesn't need to stay. If it's not on display, it doesn't need to stay. That's my new philosophy when it comes to Lego. You can take that if you need it, anybody. But yeah, it's a tough one. Let me know. That'd be a good comment for next week. Let me know your woes when it comes to space in your place, because I know it's one of the things we all struggle with. And what are you doing poorly now? Or what have you done to overcome it? Or what are your plans to do to overcome it? That's such a great topic that I could really dive into if I haven't done that enough already. Next one, we got a long one. This is a 2-pager. Oh my gosh, Cyber Productions. Maybe I should summarize this one. He says he caught up on my podcasts, and then he says that he ended up purchasing the Dagobah training set when I posted it as a deal on my community tab. Very cool. I'm trying to get back into doing Deal Attack because I think some people really enjoy that. He also enjoys the live streams. And he sent us a package. I will go get that package this week. He says I have until, I think he said November 8th or 9th, and it'll be returned. I'll make sure I get there before then. I would have to get there by next week. I don't go to the post office very much anymore. I try to encourage people to not send us stuff because that was a part of the problem. We ended up with like too much stuff, and it became like, I can't do this anymore. There's too much. So I made this video where I was like, instead of you sending us things, how about I send you a sticker? And a whole ton of people got stickers. And I still have a few left. I've been throwing in eBay orders. But that has been kind of nice, actually. You might think that getting fan mail, which is cool. I love reading the letters and stuff. But like getting all this stuff in a confined space like we have, even after we moved into a bigger space, it's causing me anxiety. So I'm just like, okay, don't send us stuff. But I do appreciate it. I appreciate you sending whatever it is that you did. I'll be sure to take a look at it. He goes on to talk about his animals and Star Wars. He says Ahsoka is one of his favorite characters, and he's given some spoilers away. I can't read that. Don't go back and read the comments. But he says, he says, why hold on to things you get no value from? Just takes up space and serves nobody. I have never collected Black Series or Funko, although someone did give me a free Mando glow-in-the-dark Funko that I have. It's a dangerous road to go down, especially when you're already into Lego. Great podcast this week. I really enjoyed them. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you were able to get caught up. He says, last thing, if you get the package, can you do me a favor and at least do a community post so I know you got it? Yes, I will absolutely do that. Maybe we'll try to make a video on it. At the very least, we'll acknowledge that we got it. I'm excited now to go get it. But yeah, I appreciate you catching up and for all the feedback. Hope you don't mind me summarizing it. I did read your message. I just want to keep it a little shorter for the peeps out here. We do have a short one coming up here from Detective Cobra. He says, listener feedback for next episode. Are you with the other people who don't care for the sequels of Star Wars? I like them. I went to see all of them in the theater. I do wish that there had been like a vision for it and they all kind of followed that. Particularly, the little spoiler alert, Snoke. It's like, ooh, Snoke's this big bad guy. And then it's like, oh, let's just kill him off. And then I won't say anything else, and if you don't know who Snoke is, you won't even remember by the time you watch it. But it just felt like they're really disjointed. And I feel like they could have done so much better with those. That being said, I did enjoy watching them, and I like the characters, particularly BB-8. You know, I have the thing for the droids. But man, after watching those videos where the guy kind of like wrote his own script for The Force Awakens. He's like, I think it's called like, what if The Force Awakens didn't suck? I'm just like, man, they could have done so much better. But I'm not like a hater, you know? I think it brought Star Wars to a new generation, just like these shows are doing. And I think that's pretty cool. And I think that's ultimately what the goal is, to sell BB-8 and Grogu merchandise, right? That's the whole purpose of Star Wars. Cody, are you and Cody planning to take any trips, like your New York trip from last year, and make every moment special? I would love to go to New York again this year, but I want to do it when it starts getting warmer. We were going to go last spring, but we had taken some other days off, and Clark was already maxed out on school days that he was out, so we didn't do that trip. But I want to take Clark to New York City to show him the Statue of Liberty. He would love to see that, see the World Trade Center, Empire State Building. I want to go to the Nintendo store, do all that New Yorky stuff. I get asked on my podcast. I get asked on my live streams often, like, what is like your dream trip or the next trip you want to do, or whatever the case is. And I think my number one place that I would like to go would be Japan. Because previously I would say Yellowstone, and I still want to do a Yellowstone trip. That would be so much easier. I like to go to Yellowstone for like 3 weeks and just like be there and see all the animals and nature. But if internationally, the place I want to go the most would be Japan, and not just like Tokyo. Like, I'd like to see Tokyo, but I want to go to like the more rural areas and see like the architecture and the forests and things like that. I just think that would be so amazing. Do some video game hunting in Japan. I watch those videos all the time. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. I just love the culture and everything about it. It's neat. So that's a place I'd like to go. I often get asked if we're going to go back to Europe again, and I would love to go see the Lego house IRL. That would be pretty cool. Cody went to Paris, and I would like to go to Paris only to see the Eiffel Tower. I could just do Paris in a day. Sorry, Paris detectors. Oh, Paris. I'd just be like, oh, there's the Eiffel Tower. Okay, bye. See ya. Get the Lego set while I'm there at the Lego store. Build it on the train. Can you imagine? Where else would I want to go? It's really tough when you're just kind of coming up with things on the spot. I'd like to go to Sicily. I know we've been to Italy already. I'd like to go to Sicily. I'd like to go to New Zealand. I'd like to go to see where all the Lord of the Rings were filmed. Would be really cool. That would be, you know what we could do? Here's the pro move. You go from here, Pennsylvania. You go to California. I go to Disneyland. Okay, that's flight there. After we do all that, we go on a flight to Hawaii. We stay there for a while. This is like the empty your bank account flight, or empty your bank account vacation. So Disney World or Disneyland to Hawaii, and we stay there. Maybe Honolulu this time. Then we go from Honolulu to Japan, travel all throughout Japan, see what that's all about. Apparently Japan's about the size of California, so you can imagine how long it would take to traverse that and see everything there is to see. Then we leave Japan, and then we go to New Zealand. Coming back, though, would be absolute nightmare. Like, I wouldn't want to do that flight. I'd rather, like, if they could just like put me under, could someone just put me under for like 24 hours from the time, or maybe just like when I get on the plane, put me under, and then bring me back out when I land. I just don't want to experience that flight whatsoever. Gosh, just going to Europe is like, oh, but it's amazing memories and experiences once you get there. Anyways, that's my long answer to your very short question. Next comes from Jeff. He says, hey, Greg, another great podcast. With adding a new hobby such as Black Series, have you thought about the way to display them, or if you plan to keep or dispose of the boxes? I find it easier to keep those boxes than those of a Lego set due to the figure actually being able to be displayed in or out of the box. Also, have you thought about showing us the gear you use? Sometimes trying to find videos on how to live stream or stream gameplay can become a bit tedious. Sorry for the long comment, but hoping to add a few more minutes to the podcast. Hey, we cracked 1 hour here. Congratulations, you've done it. Okay, let's answer these questions. The Black Series figures we've had so far, they were in card backs, so no boxes for them. They were the archive series, so I can't do anything with that. If I get one with a box, I'm going to save the box because there's no way that I can't save a box. I tried before. I failed. Displaying them, I'll probably keep them all out of the box because it'd be weird now to have some in the box or out of the box, but I'd probably put the boxes like in the background behind them as like a backdrop, and then have everybody kind of posed up looking really cool in the front, like all together. is what I'd want to do. If you go back to watch our recent Black Series haul video, at the very end of it, I did like this almost like family portrait style shot, and that's what I would do with those, but I would keep the boxes. As for the gear, yeah, I've considered doing videos about that. Like the live streaming setup, it took me a long time to figure out what equipment to get, how it all works, how to connect it all, and to make it function. Like I went through a lot of struggle with that too, and it would be helpful for people to do that. I'm not really a tech channel, but I do love that kind of stuff. And I should have definitely shown all of my cameras before I started selling them. I should have showed like the history, even though I don't have necessarily the dates. Like I went from this to this to this to this to this, and then I could have talked about what I like or didn't like. But again, most of that's irrelevant now because who's buying a camera? Well, I guess people are because they're buying them on eBay right now. Who's buying a camera from 2018? Some people are like, yeah, I need a camera to do my thing. I should have probably done that. If you have any questions or anything you need to know about my setups or whatever, maybe I can just make like a little video. I just think most of the audience probably wouldn't necessarily find value in it. Although I do have the Pocket 3 video coming out. We'll see how that one does. Maybe it'll be my biggest video I've ever done. We'll see. Thank you for commenting though. Next one comes from One Clever Pig. Pigs are smart. Star Wars comment. Clone Wars is really good, and you can visually see the quality increasing as the seasons go on. Initially, the animation felt really strange to me, but grows on you, and the action is excellent. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Like, when I first saw how everything looked, I was like, I don't know if I like this. Like, I love the way anime looks, and I'm actually thinking about getting into more of that. I listened to a podcast where the guy is kind of, like, going down that rabbit hole, which is scary. If you have any anime you recommend, let me know. Clark and my nephews recommended Attack on Titan, but it was super violent, and Clark got a little scared at the beginning because the kid's mom basically gets eaten by this monster, like this giant person. So I was like, okay, that's not going to work. But I need like things that Clark and I can watch. Clone Wars, I think, would be really cool and give us more backstory on Star Wars. He says, I'm with you on Solo. Never seen it. Literally no interest. Not sure why. I just don't care about Han's backstory, I guess. You're not missing anything. Sorry, Solo attackers. It's just not. It's not necessary, I guess, unless you're really into it. Okay, we got another long one here from Jennifer. She says, how's Cody's shoulder? It's surprisingly good. We were out throwing a little Velcro ball thing that we like doing, and she said her shoulder is like surprisingly good. It was like calcified or something was going on there, but it's like it goes away and it's fixed now, which is wonderful. She says, I have an old N64 and was wondering if you know if it'll work with modern TVs. Could not get a clear answer from Google. Well, yeah, you can make it work, but you have to buy a AV cable to HDMI adapter. I have one that's kind of like the opposite of that because I'm trying to play a modern console on an old TV, but you need one of those cables that'll take it from like the red, yellow, and white little RCA cables to HDMI. You can find those in Amazon, I'm sure. I don't know what you would call it though. It'd be like an AV to HDMI adapter is what I would look for, and you'll see what that is. If you have that, you'll be able to make it work with your modern TV, unless your TV's not super modern. Although I'm looking at this one. This is a Sony TV I have here, and it doesn't have the AV cables anymore. That was a thing of the past. But you can make it work. If you want to avoid all of that, though, you can get a Nintendo Switch if you don't have one already. And you could get Nintendo Switch Online, which has Nintendo 64 games to play, if you wanted to skip the pain and suffering. She says, you said how hard it is to find presents for Clark with his birthday so close to Christmas. Have you ever thought about celebrating his birthday at a different time of the year so not close to Christmas? I've thought about that for him and myself. I often dreamed as a kid about having a birthday that was like in June, how awesome that would be to have a summer birthday with friends coming over and you have like a pool party or like whatever. It sucks to have your birthday on January 2nd, which is when Clark's is. It's like everyone just did all their stuff. It's like the time when New Year's hits, everyone's back to school, back to work. It's cold. It's miserable. It sucks. You could probably do it. No one would know. You know, if you say in May at the end of the school year, we're just like, hey, Clark's having a birthday party. How do they know what day his birthday is? Like, it doesn't really matter, right? It's just about getting together, having fun. In fact, you could just do a celebration. It doesn't have to be a birthday. It's just like, hey, we're having a thing at the bowling alley. Bring yourself and your bowling shoes or rent them. We could probably do something like that. She has some gift ideas for Clark, man. The Ogo disc. It's like a Frisbee thing with a trampoline-like thing in the middle. That reminds me of Spike Ball. People play that at the at the beach where it's like you hit the ball into the trampoline. They come with koosh balls that you use the disc to toss back and forth. They also sell other ball things to go with it. I bought a bunch for my nephew. I was looking for toys and found Good Housekeeping recommendations of a draw and design your own video game set that look a lot like a lot of fun for you and Clark. It's called Pixicade. I actually got him a game for the Switch that you design your own games with. So we got something like that checked off. Probably not as cool as that though. 6. Clark might love this book series by Stephen Hawking and his daughter called George's Secret Key to the Universe. It's about a boy who goes on a space adventure and you learn real facts about space. There are colored pictures of real space stuff. There's a villain. There you go. Clark's sold. He loves villains. In one of the books, he goes to CERN and learns about it and the Big Bang. That's kind of cool too, right? Clark loves space. He loves reading. We definitely are always in the market for books, so I'm going to put that on the list. Let's see. I'm gonna kind of gloss through some of this because I know some of you guys probably aren't kids or don't have kids that are looking for books. She mentioned Harry Potter. I would love to kind of get him into the Harry Potter scene. We watched the movies, but I felt like he was a little too young for it. But I think the books he would probably be like really into. So we should go down that rabbit hole, and then someday we can go back to Universal and go through the Harry Potter area and be blown away there. But yeah, I appreciate the recommendations for the books and the toys. I'll look up the Ogo disc or Ogo disc, and maybe that'll end up becoming an elf gift, stocking stuffer, or birthday gift. Next one comes from No Dig Garden Channel. It says, G Money says, I'm at the gym listening while doing cardio, and Apple announced a special primetime event tonight on the Cross Trainer TV. What could it be? It says, we'll comment more later. He didn't. We have pizza, pasta, hoagie parties at our house. I want to know why I'm not invited. Why didn't I know about these pizza, pasta, and hoagie parties? The Apple event wasn't anything special. It was at their new M3 chip that is apparently 15% faster than the M2 chip. I have the M1 in both of my computers, and they're plenty fast for me. I'm more interested in, like I'd say of all the things Apple, I'm probably most interested in their AR goggles, the Apple Vision Pro or whatever, but they're $3,500. And there is literally nothing that I could do in those to justify that cost. That's like buying 7 PlayStation 5s. What are you going to do? You know, unless it takes me to like the surface of another planet and I feel like I'm there in real life, which is probably it will do. I think I'm going to pass, but it's exciting technology that very much like the first computer that came out, which is probably super expensive for people, opens up the world to new technology that's going to get ever increasingly less expensive. But it's, you know, it's exciting being on the cutting edge of things. But yeah, if they were, geez, even half that cost, I'd be like, it's a lot. I paid like $300 for my Oculus Quest, which is garbage compared to Apple's thing. But you know, I have fun playing Beat Saber and Super Hot VR. I appreciate all the comments this week, guys. We have one more from Ray, if you didn't know, is the biggest supporter we've ever had in the entire history of YouTube. Most encouraging person that I've ever run across. In every single video, he leaves a very thoughtful, heartfelt comment that just pushes me forward to the next day. And as much as I try to not read just the ones that it's like, Greg, your podcast is the greatest thing since sliced bread, because I feel like you probably don't want to hear that. And it's like, dude, you're full of yourself. This is an honest comment, and I suppose one of the many feel-good comments of the week that I'll share here. So I'll give it to Ray to send us off on the last comment. He says, good Sunday morning. Sub for this Midwesterner. Your concerns for this podcast were definitely unfounded. It was excellent. See? The people that come here to listen to you each week are appreciative of what you're doing, what you bring to the table, and you have an innate ability to bring worthwhile conversation, and as you said, a comfort standard that we all look forward to each week. Let me tell you this, Ray believes in me way more than I believe in myself. He says the trips to the post office are always worthwhile. They give you a reason to take Roxy along for a walk or have other adventures that create an interesting storyline. Your win of the week with listing the cameras is both great and bittersweet. It makes sense that there was some sadness with the listing the cameras. You are a loyal person who has worked hard to reach this point in life. Sometimes loyalty extends to items other than humans. Those cameras have been there from the start with the renovation of the previous house, which started this all, to the life and times documenting of the Clark. We have all held on to things like cars and concert t-shirts. The fact that you've held on to the boxes and packing give all of us OCD people a reason to cheer. Plus, it shows the discipline that you have, knowing that you may need things for the future. Plus, the purchasers will feel confident in their purchases. Indeed, I think having the box is like, wow, he kept the box. He took care of things. He says, I have a question regarding the purchase of action figures, the action figures. Should you take the chance to buy the lesser desirable ones with the chance they may be worth more in the future? For example, there are characters from the first movie that were in the bar scene that later became prominent in the later series, sort of like buying penny stock or land with no water source in the 1970s in Colorado for $1 an acre. I think back then that made sense, but now I think there's so many investors and speculators in the world of toys. Like there was a time when I don't think many people were buying Lego sets for the sole purpose of reselling them. Now, these days, a good number of people are doing that because they see that you can get good returns. I think probably the action figures are the same way. There's just so many adults in the game now that I don't know if there's going to be that boom that there once was where to find like a sealed something like was probably a rarity. But now with all of the speculators that are out there, I think it'd be harder to get those returns. He says, the summary idea of combining a week's worth of content into a short is an excellent idea. The video you released on Saturday worked really well. You're a great idea, man. If I could implement any of the ideas that I actually had, that would be good. He says that is why I think these channels will always be interesting and will endure. I hope so. I enjoy it. As long as there's somebody watching, I'll keep making. He says, one thing you touched on today and at other times during different videos is that you do not consider yourself to be good at certain disciplines like multitasking or filming. I disagree with that notion. However, your next point was one that everyone needs to take to heart. I'm paraphrasing here. I'm not the greatest at this thing or that thing, but I am the hardest worker and I will not stop until I accomplish my goal. I do believe that. This is a theme that everyone should strive for, especially the young listeners. Work hard and never give up, says Ray. There will always be someone more talented, but working harder than the other person will always prevail. The highlight of the week is always the highlight of the week. You getting to spend quality time with Clark, be it watching movies or just eating breakfast. The time you spend together will pay off in the teen years. You and Cody have built a great life for him. It's inspiring to watch. I will end this novel with this. There really was a lot to this podcast, Greg. Thanks for another Sunday visit that was worthwhile. Have a great afternoon and Halloween week, which is exactly what we did. We checked it off, Ray. I'm glad that you and it seems other people enjoyed last week's episode where I felt like I didn't have any podcasting juice and I was like, what am I going to talk about? I talked all week. Gosh, right now it feels like I talked all week. We are darn near 1 hour and 20 minutes in this. Mostly thanks to you guys with the listener feedback. I hope that's a segment that you enjoy. I imagine most people come here to find out what's new. But yeah, I think it adds a lovely element to it, at least for me, because it encourages me to think out of the box in some ways. Again, the encouraging comments are nice, but it makes me a little like self-conscious to share stuff like that because it's like, I don't know, it's like, oh, thank you. But, it is sweet and it is very kind to say that. And it sure is encouraging. Like I've said before, like YouTube by far has been such a positive place for me to share my life experiences and whatever it is that I'm interested in. There always seems to be people there that enjoy it and are supportive. And for that, I'm greatly appreciative, especially you. If you listen to this podcast, if you made it this far, 184 episodes in to me talking about my weeks, it's remarkable. And I appreciate you tuning in. I'm really thankful to be able to do this. And I look forward to this every week, and I hope you do too. So on that, hope you look forward to next week because we'll be back, and I'll tell you all about the things that I'm up to and into in episode 185 of Missing Pieces. So on that, got to send you out the right way. We'll find you in the next Missing Pieces.